Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to the last and final Daf of Maseches Pesachim, Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph. We are on the bottom of Kuf Chaf Amud Beis. It says the Gemara 3 lines from the bottom. Ha-pigul v'ha-noisar mitame esei yadayim. Mishnah tells us, Mid-Rabbanan, there was a tumah established and applied to pigul and to noisar. If one touches these things, his hands become tamei. The Gemara now will give us the reason for this tumah. Why is it that pigul, which is a carbon where the kohen had a machshava, he says, well, I'm going to have the basar past. I'm going to eat it past the allotted time. The carbon is called pigul and becomes puzzle. That is metame one's hands. Or if he leaves some meat, some of the basar past the allotted time, that noiser is metame yadayim. Why? Why do we have that tumah with Rabbanan? Says the Gemara, Rav Huna v'Rav Chizda, both these Amoraim, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, each one gave a reason. Chadamar, one said, Mishum chash de kahuna. We're concerned about those kohanim who are chashid, who are suspected of doing something wrong. The Gemara soon will elaborate on this. And that's why we have the tumah on the pigul. V'chadamar, and the other one, right, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, so the other one said, Mishum asle kahuna. The reason why we have a tumah is on account of the lazy kohanim, who will perhaps leave the basar past the allotted time, and that's why we have a tumah to deter this type of behavior. Let's take a look at the Rashbam, 2 lines from the bottom. Chad amar mishum chashte kahuna, the kamen mefarish that pigul koy. The Gemara soon will tell us this reason of chashte kahuna is specific to the pigul. Right, we're concerned that the kohen perhaps will have reason to do in the owner, get back at him for something, and disqualify his carbon by making it pigul. That's why the Chachamim applied a tumah to prevent this type of situation. So chashte kahuna is the basis for tumah applied to pigul. V'chad amar, the other one explained, mishum asle kahuna. The kabon mefarish da noiser koy. This reason of asle kahuna was meant to explain the tumah by noiser. We're concerned about procrastination, about laziness, and perhaps allowing the basar out of negligence, allowed to become noiser. Therefore, Chacham applied a tumah. If it becomes tumah, your hands are tumah. If it becomes noiser and you touch it, your hands become tumah. But like pligi, actually, there's no machlekes. Elachad mefarish, time of the pigul. One was explaining the time for pigul, the chashte kahuna. V'chad mefarish tam of the noisar. The other madam was explaining the time of noisar. Mishum asle kahuna. Continues the Gemara. What is the minimum shiur requirement for tumah? Chadam or kazayis. One of these two, Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, said the minimum shiur is a kazayis. Kazayis of pigul is tummy. Kazayis of noisar is tummy. V'chadam or kebeitza. Kazayis is not enough. You need to have a kebeitza equal to the volume of an egg. Explains the Gemara. There's actually no machlekes between Rav Huna and Rav Chizda regarding the reasons, the basis for the tumah. Although one spoke about chashte kahuna, one spoke about asle kahuna, chad tani pigul. One was in reference to pigul, v'chad tani noisar, and the other one was in reference to noisar, as the Gemara explains. Man the tani pigul, the one who was coming to explain pigul, mishum chashte kahuna. He was the one who said it's on account of the chashude, the ones that are suspected of doing things in a way which will deliberately disqualify the carbon. Perhaps that the kohen will have done it, bemazed, and therefore we say pigul is tummy, to discourage that type of behavior. Mad the tani anoisar, the other mandama who was explaining the reason for noisar, he was the one who said mishum asle kahuna on account of the lazy kohen. Let's take a look at the Rashbam again. So it would be the top line of the Rashbam. Chad tani pigul v'chad tani anoisar. Chad mefarish tamid masis, my time of pigul metame seidayim. One was coming to explain the reason for pigul being tamid. V'chad mefarish tamid masis, my tamid noisar metame seidayim. The other one was explaining the reason for noisar. Mishum chashte kahuna. Gazer chachamim tumah shelo yifaglu b'ratzain. Chachamim applied a tumah to pigul to discourage the kohanim from making it pigul willingly, deliberately. La'af says sabalam to damage the owner. V'yoimru shoygig and hayinol say, well, it was just a shoygig, it was a mistake. And therefore Chacham said, it becomes tamei. This will discourage this type of behavior. You see, because if it's b'mezid, the Gemara in Gittin says they're chayiv to pay. If we know that it was done willingly, then have to pay. But they'll say, well, it was just a shay. We didn't realize that this is going to make it pigel. So it's interesting. Taisus asks early in the Masechta, he says, so what's the solution in order to dissuade them from doing this type of thing? So we make a tamei. Well, think for a second. This kohen is obviously not too concerned about being over the isser of making a pigel. It's a law. You're not allowed to have that machshav. You're not allowed to speak these words that make it pigel. You're not allowed to do it. That's a law. He wasn't worried about that. B, he wasn't worried about ruining the owner's carbon, stealing his carbon. So that he disregards. But Tumah, he's petrified of Tumah. If we say it's going to be tummy, that will deter him from doing it. Isn't that astounding? Why would you be more concerned about becoming tummy than doing all these sermons? Taisus says that indeed it was a evidently that's the way things went in those days. There was a tkufa in history that people were more concerned about Tumah Tahara than about Gezel and other Yisurim. It brings the Gemara in Yuma, where there was a question of Ritzich, of murdering, and the primary concern was what? Not about the person that died, but whether they cleaned the knife as tummy or not. So evidently, Tumah and spirituality was of primary importance, and in their eyes was perhaps even superior, and overrode the other concerns of Gezel and the Yisr making a pigel. That's what Chacham applied that as a solution to the problem. Make it tummy. This will discourage the kohen from making a pigel. Continues the Rashbam. V'Rabbeinu pirush oitam acher. Rabbeinu seems to be Rashi. He added another pshat. Why would the kohen make a pigel? So according to the first pshat, he wanted to even up his accounts with the owner. He had some gripes with the owner, and he was mafagel his carbon. The second pshat is like this: Lefisha shlomim heim, v'ein lekoyin behen elachazav v'shoik. The kohen here was dealing with a shlomim, and even the kohen who's makar v'shlomim only gets a small portion of the shlomim, chazav v'shoik, and he wants to get more. So what does he do? In his mind, he thinks, well, if I'll make it into a chatas, then I'll get the whole carbon. V'yishachtem b'mezid l'shem chatas, kedei l'oichlan kulam, to have the whole carbon. Perhaps that was his motive, not to do in the owner, not to be mafsed the owner, rather to derive more hana, more benefit by turning the shlomim to chatas. So that's the pshat that the Rashbam brings. But he's not happy with this pshat, because when we say pigel, it's a very specific type of psol. Chutz l'zmanoi. He has a machshav, I'm going to eat the basar beyond his man achila. The ein pigel el b'shechet amanas le'echol b'menu chutz l'zmanoi. As opposed to this case, v'hashechet shlomim l'shem chatas ain't got pigel. That's not called pigel. The carbon is actually still kosher. El shloi olubal m'shem chayva. It doesn't count for the owner, meaning he has to bring another one, but it's still kosher. And that's not what the Chacham meant. That's not what the Chacham were talking about when they said pigel is a metamei daim. That's a very specific type of carbon. It becomes pigel, it becomes puzzle. So evidently we're speaking that he had machshava to eat chutz zmani, but if it's just I'm doing the shlom l'shem chatas, that's not what the Gemara is referring to. And actually another problem here, because in reality the kohen really didn't accomplish much. So not only was he a gazlan, but he was also unlearned fellow, because even if he has machshava l'shem chatas, it doesn't turn into a chatas. It affects the carbon. It adversely affects the carbon, as Rashbam says. The Baal has to bring another one. He wasn't yoytze with this, but it's kosher and it's a shlomim. It doesn't really turn into a chatas, so he doesn't really gain much by doing that. In any case, Rashbam doesn't like this pshat. We're speaking about a plain simple pigel where he's mafsed the carbon, makes it puzzle. Chacham concerned about that being done b'mezid. Therefore, they applied a tumah to deter the kohen from doing that. So that was the reason of pigel. Continues the Rashbam. Mishlam asli kuhuna. Why was noiser tamei? Shlois atzlu ba'achila. They shouldn't approach the achila lazily. Vodin Yisrael. Now, although the Gemara mentions kohen, of course it applies to Yisrael as well. If you have a carbon, a shlamim, what you need to eat. meant to eat it within the Zman Achila, and there's a concern of procrastination and laziness, and therefore Chachamim apply the Tumah. If it's going to be nicer, your hands will become tummy. And this will ensure that it's eaten Teich the Zman. Continues the Gemara. 3 lines from the top. There is one machlekes actually between Rav Huna and Rav Chisda regarding the minimum requirement, the minimum shear that qualifies, that has tumah. Chadam or kazayis. The minimum is a kazayis of noiser or pigel. Chadam or kabeitz. The other one set the minimum shear of the kabeitz. Why? Ma'adam or kazayis, the one that held kazayis, kisure. It's meant to be equal, similar to the shear of isser. What is the minimum shear for isser achila of noiser or pigel? A kazayis. Therefore, they established the din of tumah commensurate to the shear of the achila, which is a kazayis. Uma andam kebeitza kedumasa, the one that maintains that the minimum shear of tumah is kebeitza by noiser and pigel. That's because we find that generally speaking, Minat Torah, the oichel needs to be a sheer kebeitza in order for it to transmit tumah to others. So we see that kebeitza is an important sheer, important benchmark when it comes to dinei tumah. Therefore, when they established the tumah d'Rabbanan by Nosar and Pigel, it went along with the same guidelines, the minimum share is a kebeitza. So in conclusion, this is tumah d'Rabbanan by Pigel, by Nosar, to encourage appropriate behavior, whether it's by the Pigel concerned about the kain being mafagel but mazit to ruin the Baalam's carbon. Therefore, the Chachamim established a tumah there, and by Nosar on account of atzlos, of laziness. We want to make sure you eat the carbon within its time. So, if it's nicer, it's tummy, and this will encourage them to eat it within the time. We have a machlekes regarding the minimum shear, whether it's a kabeitza or kazayis. Interesting to mention that in the Gemara Me'ila, Yudzayin and Beis, we learn that although when it comes to Isurim Minat Torah or Tumas Minat Torah, we have different things that can be mitzvah for each other. You have a half a zayis of this, or half a zayis of the other thing. You can join together and have a tumah, because we have a total shear of a kebeitzer or kazayis. However, when it comes to these tumahs, pigla and noiser, the Gemara tells us it won't be mitzvah. For instance, if you hold that the minimum share by pigla or noiser is a kazayis. Suppose you have half a zayis of pigla and a half a zayis of noiser, and you put them together. Does that constitute the shir kazayis and is it tummy? The Gemara says it's not. And Rashi there explains because unlike the tumah minat Torah or the ism minat Torah, here it's only midrabanan. It's a takana midrabanan, as Rashi says. You don't want to make a takana the takana. We don't find the Chacham made a double decker takana. So since the whole isser is just a takana midrabanan, if you don't have a shir, it's not tummy at all. You can't combine a little bit of pigel, a little bit of noiser together to get your tumah. Let's see the Mishnah. Beirach birchas ha-Pesach. The Rashbam will explain for us that there is a bracha that one makes upon eating the Korban Pesach. Asher kitshanav mitzvos v'tzivanu le'echel ha-Pesach. However, the Korban Chagiga has a different bracha. Asher kitshanav mitzvos v'tzivanu le'echel ha-Zevach. A different bracha. Suppose he has both Korbanos in front of him, Pesach and the Chagiga that comes together with the Pesach, which is really a shlamim. He had a bracha on the Korban Pesach, lechel ha-Pesach. Is he going to be yoytzei the shlamim as well, the Chagiga as well? Says the Mishnah, yes. Bireich birchas ha-Pesach. He made the bracha, the proper bracha on the Korban Pesach. Patar eshel zevach. He was paiter the bracha on the zevach and the Chagiga, which is a shlamim. Apparently, the bracha on the Korban Pesach is an all-encompassing bracha, which somehow, we want to see soon in the Gemara, the explanation, the reason for this, it somehow includes and can be applied to the shlamim as well. And therefore, there's no need to make another bracha on the shlamim, on the chagig. However, in the reverse, it doesn't work. Birech shel zevach, he made the bracha on the zevach, on the chagig, on the shlamim, loy pata shel zevach, he was not paita the bracha on the Korban Pesach. The Rabbi Shmuel, who holds that the Korban Pesach is the primary element here, and the bracha on the Korban Pesach stands higher, so to speak, than the bracha on the Korban Chagiga, and therefore the Korban Pesach's bracha will be mitzi the Chagiga as well. But the bracha on the Chagiga will not be mitzi the Korban Pesach. You have to make another bracha on the Korban Pesach. Rabbi Kiva Eimer, no. Pesach and Chagiga, two separate entities. And likewise the brachas are two separate brachas, unrelated, unlinked, and loizu poiterazu. This bracha is not poit to the other one, v'loizu poiterazu, and this one is not poit to the first one. You have to make a separate bracha on the Pesach and the Chagiga. Now the obvious kasha here is, we know that after the Korban Pesach, you're not meant to eat anything. Korban Pesach is meant to be the last item on the menu, ala soiva. We have to have Tam, Pesach, Bepiv throughout the night. So how is it that he would even encounter such a situation where he has a Pesach and a Chagiga before him, and he'd like to eat both? And the Mishnah says if he makes a bracha on the Pesach to eat the Pesach, he doesn't have to make a bracha on the Chagiga when he proceeds to the Chagiga. Why would he even eat Chagiga after Pesach? So the Farshim bring a raya from this Mishnah to the Shitas HaRambam, who says that although Pesach is meant to be eaten ala soiva, and the last item on the menu, have the tam linger in your mouth throughout the night. However, that's not to say that you cannot eat the Korban Pesach in a situation which does not conform to ala soiva. Meaning, the Ram clearly explains this. He says, Rizvan HaMikdash, they would do it as follows. They would have part of the Korban Pesach earlier on in the Suda, even though it was not ala soiva, as long as he kept a kazayas, reserved it just a little bit for the end of the meal, and had that as the last achil of the night. Ala soiva, tam Pesach bepiv. And the Brisker Rav explains that according to the Rambam, there's no isser of eating Pesach shaloi ala soiva. There are two elements in the Korban Pesach. There's mitzvahs achilas Pesach, even if he's hungry, even if it's not ala soiva, even if it's the first item on the menu. He's yoytze mitzvahs achilas Pesach. There's no issa to eat it in that fashion. But the Rambam holds you have to be yoytze ala soiva as well, and you could be yoytze even with just a kazayis. Apparently, the Rambam holds that the reason for the Pesach being at the end is it should be either like the Rashbam said, l'gdula, l'melucha. It should look like a royal manner of eating, calm and at ease and partially full, not in a state of hunger. So, as long as he's Mekayim that, wants to Mekayim that as well, fine. Save a kazais for the end of the meal and have it done. And the same thing with the Tam Pesach Bepiv. You must walk away from the Seder as the Pesach, with the Pesach leaving the last impression. That can be fulfilled by having at least one kazais at the end of the meal. And that explains the Mishnah. He's at the beginning of a Seder. He has the Chagiga here, he has the Pesach, and he happens to make a bracha on the Pesach first. According to Rishmal, he's pointed the bracha on the Zevach. Let's see the Rashbam here. You notice the word Masnisin, which is about 12 lines from the top of the Rashbams here. Masnisin. Birchas HaPesach u'birchas HaZevach mefarish v'tesefta. The Tesefta explains what the brachas are. Eze birchas HaPesach Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvos v'tzivonu lech laPesach. So it's a specific bracha described in the Korban Pesach. Eze birchas HaZevach Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvos v'tzivonu lech laZevach. Now, what Zevach are we speaking about? V'ha'zevach hainu chagigas yudalit habar HaPesach. That's the chagiga, the shlam that comes with the Pesach. According to the Chacham, the point was to have that first, so that the Pesach, which comes later, will be eaten ala soiva when he's partially full. That's one pshat. Inami, another pshat is Nedar Medav is the voluntary karban shikr erev Pesach, which he brought yesterday. V'echel Pesach, which he eats tonight. So it's just a shlamim, which he's going to have tonight at the Seder. Plukta, the Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Kiva, Farshin time the Gemara will explain it. Hagarsinan beirach ala zevach lepater as a Pesach. So at this point we have like this. Rabbi Kiva says the two things are unrelated. Rabbi Shmuel says the bracha on Korban Pesach will also be applied to the Zvachim, to the Shlamim, to the Chagiga. Apparently, Rabbi Shmuel holds, and the Achronim, Rabbi Aaron Kessler explains, apparently he holds that a Pesach is really a type of shlomim. It's like a subcategory of shlomim. It has shlom element within it. On top of that, it's also a Pesach. That explains Rabbi Shmuel's halacha. If you make a bracha on the Pesach, you've automatically made a bracha on shlomim as well, because within the Pesach there's a shlomim element. So when he proceeds to have his shlomim afterwards, it's chagigah, there's no need to make another bracha. He was already might see that shlomim by making a bracha on the Pesach, which in itself contains a shlomim element within it. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, apparently a Pesach is a combined entity, a combined Pesach shlomim entity, and therefore the bracha on Pesach is also automatically considered a bracha on a shlomim, and there's no need to make another bracha come the shlomim when he proceeds to have his shlomim. Whereas according to Rabbi Akiva, Pesach is Pesach, shlomim is shlomim, and you can't apply this reasoning. Therefore, the bracha on the Pesach cannot work for the shlomim. Continues the Gemara. You know, if you analyze the shittas of Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva, you can actually come up with an interesting halacha, with another application to this halacha. Well, according to Rabbi Shmuel, as we just explained, the Pesach has within it two elements: a Pesach aspect and a shlomim aspect. And that's why the bracha al ha-Pesach can be applied for shlomim as well. Otherwise, it wouldn't work for Pesach. Because the Pesach is also a type of shlomim. The fact that the bracha shagrichonu al ha-Pesach works for Pesach indicates to us that the Pesach has a shlomim element within it, and therefore the bracha on the Pesach is considered also a bracha on shlomim. If that's the case, when it comes to the hakrava, we're going to have an afkimin, because we know there are different types of matan damim, different types of applying the dam on the mizbeach. There's something called shvicha, where he stands very close to the mizbeach and pours it on the base, on the yisoid. He doesn't spritz it, doesn't sprinkle, doesn't throw it. Shvicha means benachas. It's a more direct application. Whereas some kabbanis have zrika, where you toss the dam, you throw it on the mizbeach, you spritz it. Now the Korban Pesach required shvicha, which is a more direct application. Shlomim requires zrika. Now, if we just finish saying that a Korban Pesach is really a combined Pesach and Shlomim entity, right? As we just explained, that's why the bracha of the Pesach is really considered a bracha on a Shlomim as well. So, when he goes and does the matan damim on the mizbeach, which by Pesach means shvich, the question is, how is he yotze the hakrava of the shlomim within that Pesach? It's a Pesach, but also shlomim. Apparently, shvicha stands higher than zrika, because it's a more direct application. You're pouring it softly, directly. It's not throwing it from far. So within shvicha, sort of, is zrika. It's superior. It stands higher. It's as though within your shvicha you have your zrika. Like the Gemara says, b'chlal masaymana, within 200 you have 100. So it's included within the shvicha. And that's why you can bring the Pesach b'shvicha, because the shvicha works for the Pesach and also works for the shlomim within the Pesach. Shlomim needs a zrika, but once you did shvicha, you see the zrika as well. Says the one, if that's the case, we can learn from here interesting halach. L'din Rabbi Shmuel, zrika b'chlal shvicha. Zrika is included in a shvicha, as we just explained. And therefore, let's say he brought a shlomim, an ordinary shlomim, not on Pesach, throughout the year. And instead of doing zrika, which is the proper hakrava of the dam shlomim, he decides to do shvicha. That's okay. Perhaps not l'chatchila, but zrika b'chlal shvicha, within shvicha is included zrika, because shvicha stands higher. It's better than zrika, as we just learned. That's why the shvicha of the Pesach is good, because although within the Pesach you have a shlamim element, which needs zrika, and you only did shvicha, which is the matan dam of the Pesach, you still yaitze, it works. Apparently, it's because although the shlamim element within the Pesach needs zrika, but once you do shvicha for the Pesach, it's all inclusive. Because zrika b'chal shvicha. Shvicha b'chal zrika. But not the reverse. Shvicha is not included in zrika. Meaning, suppose he brings his korban Pesach, which needs shvicha, and instead sprinkles it down, throws it, does zrika. Doesn't work. Because shvicha stands higher. It's superior to zrika. It can't be yoyte shvicha by doing something less, something inferior, zrika. Therefore, we conclude according to Bishmal, shvicha stands higher than zrika. If when you were supposed to do zrika, you substituted with a shvicha, that's okay. But in the reverse, if you meant to do shvicha and you merely did zrika, that doesn't work. However, according to Rabbi Akiva, the two things are unrelated. Why? Let's backtrack. Akiva says, if you make a bracha on the korban Pesach, Pesach is Pesach. It's not considered a type of shlamim. It now has assumed the identity of a korban Pesach. New status called Pesach. You make the bracha asher geshanu to eat the Pesach. You can only have Pesach. You have to make another bracha for the shlamim. Apparently, we don't look at it. We don't treat the Pesach as a combined entity, as a joined Pesach and shlamim. And if that's the case, we can understand very well why shvicha of Pesach works, because it's a Pesach. It's not as though it has a shlamim within it. It's only a Pesach. Therefore, shvicha works. So, according to Rabbi Akiva, we have no reason to think that shvicha could be done on account of zrika, and certainly not zrika on account of shvicha. Did Rabbi Akiva, lo shvicha b'chal zrika, shvicha is not included in zrika, v'lo zrika b'chal shvicha, and even zrika is not included in shvicha. The two things are unrelated, two separate akravis, two separate methods of matan dam. You can't do one in lieu of the other. So again, just for clarity, we have two shittas regarding the bracha. Rabbi Shmuel says, you make a bracha on the Pesach. Since a Pesach is a joint Pesach shlamim entity, has both elements within it, when you make a bracha on the Pesach, you've automatically also made a bracha on shlamim, which is hiding in that Pesach, so to speak. And therefore, when he proceeds to have the shlamim, there's no need to make another bracha. Therefore, the Gemara says, apparently, within shvicha, which is the appropriate method for the dam of Pesach, within that is also included zrika, meaning shvicha stands higher and encompasses zrika as well. And that's why the Pesach, although it's also a shlamim, and a shlamim needs zrika, the shvicha of the Pesach, the shvicha which stands higher, the shvicha that you're doing for the Pesach, will be mighty the zrika, because you can do shvicha in lieu of zrika. Whereas Rabbi Akiva says, no, Pesach is Pesach, shlamim is shlamim, each one is a standalone korban, don't mix them up. Each one needs its own unique bracha and its own unique form of akrava. Now, just another thing, interesting thing that's in place to mention here. The Rashbam quoted Tosefta regarding the brachas of the achilas hakarban. A Pesach needs a specific bracha, lechel Pesach. The Chagiga has a different korban, lechel zevach. Now, what about chatos, asham? Does each one need a specific bracha, like we have by foods? It's ha'etz, it's ha'dam, it's mezainis. So it's interesting that the Tosefta in brachas, parakeh, seems to say that no, it's a general bracha for all karbanos. All karbanos, whether it's shlamim, chatos, you'll make the same bracha. Lechel, it says lechel zvachim. Rashbam says lechel zevach. So whatever it is, it's a generic bracha. You don't make a specific bracha for each special korban. But there are there's a Mishnah Melech, I think, on the Ramam, who says that each korban needs its own bracha. So the kohen, when he approaches the chatos, he's going to make a bracha al chatos, lechel chatos, achitas chatos, and so on and so forth. Now, according to the other shita, which is the pashtus of the Tosefta, that all zvachim have one standard nusach lechel zvachim, or menachos have wants to add the nusach lechel mincha. Kasha is, how do we understand this Mishnah, which seems to separate between chatas, which needs its own Pesach, which needs its own bracha, and the shlamim, which needs a generic bracha lechel zevach? Why would Pesach be different? If we say that shlamim, chatas, ashram all have the same bracha lechel zevach, lechel zvachim, so why is Pesach different? Why do we make a special, unique bracha of lechel zevach? So the Farshim explain like this: there's a big difference within the mitzvah achila of the korban between Pesach and other korbanos. You see, when it comes to other korbanos, all the Rashi early in the Masechta tells us there's a mitzvah say. Even when the Yisrael, Hashem, you bring a korban, when Mashiach comes, a shlamim, you sit down to have that basar, you be mekayim a mitzvah say in Torah. Which mitzvah say? V'ochlo oisam asher kupa behem, which applies not only to the Kohanim, also to the Israelim who eat their chelik of the korban. So there is a mitzvah say involved, but it's a mitzvah kiyumas. You're fulfilling a mitzvah. There's no chiv upon you. There's no obligation for this specific Yisrael to eat the korban. If somebody else eats it, that's okay. You have to ensure that the korban is eaten, that there's no noiser, and certainly if you eat it, you makayim mitzvah say, but there's no chiv. It's not a obligatory mitzvah. It's a mitzvah kiyumas, not a mitzvah chiyumas, as opposed to the Pesach, which is unique in this sense, because over there we really have two. It's almost like some say you have two mitzvahs when you eat the korban Pesach. You're eating a korban, but in addition to that, you're being mekayim the mitzvah achilas korban Pesach, which is really the whole purpose of the korban Pesach. La'achila, as we learned in the Masechta. Right? That's when you bring it with tumah, you'll still eat it. The point, we had that Mishnah. The whole point of the korban is to eat it. And there's a chiv upon you, Ruvain. You have to eat the korban. You have to bring the Pesach and eat it. So that explains why it has its own bracha, which sets it apart from the other korbanos. Other korbanos need to be eaten, yeah, but anybody can really eat them. I mean, mekayim that mitzvah. But Pesach is incumbent upon the Baalim to have his korban to eat and eat it. In addition to being mekayim the general mitzvah of eating kosher, he's being mekayim his chiv of bringing and eating his korban Pesach. That's why it earns its own unique bracha. Asher kutshana mitzvahs etzvanu lechel Pesach. Continues the Gemara. Rabbi Simloi ikla lepidina ben. Rabbi Simloi came to a pidina ben. Rashbam will soon tell us how this comes into the sugya here. In any case, he arrives at the pidina ben. Bo minei, they asked him a shayla. Well, we know the following. Pshita, this is obvious. Al pidina ben, when we have a pidina ben, and we have the bracha asher kutshanu mitzvahs etzvanu al pidina ben, who says that bracha? Avi ben mevarach. Certainly the father of the infant makes that bracha. It's his mitzvah, it's his chiyuv to redeem his son, to give the 5 slime to the kohen on account of his bechor. It's his mitzvah. So that's pasha to us. What about the next bracha? That we want to know. Baruch shechiyono v'kimono v'giyono zman hazeh. That bracha, which is said at a time of joy, at a time when the person has a big hana, purchases something very significant, or when he's mekayim a mitzvah, which is a periodic mitzvah, which comes mizman l'zman, such as pidina ben. So that bracha, who's going to say it? Kohen mevarach? Is that something that Kohen will say? Or Yavi ben mevarach? Or the father? As they explain. Kohen mevarach, should the Kohen make the bracha? The kamati hanol yade, because he's deriving benefit. He's getting the money. Now the Rashba explains, of course, just earning 5 slime, that's not enough of a reason to make the shechiyama. He says it's no different than the other matnos kuhuna, the truma, etc. The kohen doesn't make a bracha of a shechiyama. Rather, here we're speaking in a case where he's involved in the process of the mitzvah. He's a recipient of the chamisha slime, which enables the pidyon. There are really 2 individuals involved in the mitzvah, the father and the kohen. And the Gemara wants to know, perhaps the kohen should be the one making the bracha. And the Farshim explained, the Rashash says he's going to be mighty the father. The father has to make a shechiyanim because he's actually doing the mitzvah. The question is, who do we prefer as far as making the bracha? He's going to make the bracha and exempt the other one. Should the kohen do it? Because A, he's involved in the mitzvah. B, he's walking away with hana. He has olam haz and olam hab. and therefore he's the one to make the bracha of Shechianu, or Yabi ben Mevarach, or rather, the father should make the bracha, the Ka'avid mitzvah, because look, he is the one enabling, he's the one that's the Gurm, he's making the mitzvah. It's his chiyuv, and he's doing the pidyon. Sure, the kohen is participating, but he is the father is the main player here. So, we have two sides to the equation. Should the father make the Shechianu because he is the primary individual, or should the kohen make the bracha because although he's really secondary to the balam, but he's really involved, he's participating in the mitzvah, and number two, he's getting hana. And perhaps it's appropriate for him to make the Shechianu, and we might see the father. Lo yahava b'yadi. So this was the question posed to Simlai. Lo yahava b'yadi, he didn't have a response. Asa shal be'midrasha. So he came to the Beis Medrash and he asked the Shaila. Unrelated, they responded, Avi ben mevarach shtayim. It's the father that makes both brachas. Asher kitshanu mitzvayzav al pidna ben, and also the Shechianu. V'hilchasa, and that's the halacha. Avi ben mevarach shtayim. It's the father that makes both brachas. Apparently, he carries more weight. He's the one doing the mitzvah. The kohen is just on the receiving end, and therefore the father should be the one thanking Hashem. Shechianu v'kimanu v'giyonu mazeh. So appropriate to end the Masechta with this bracha. Let's just see the Rashbam. Rav Simlai Ikla. How does this fit into the sugya? Says the Rashbam mishum da'ayre masnisin. Bishnei mine brachas b'adam echad u'ma'asav echad. We just finished the Mishnah and the Gemara discussing two types of brachas involving one person, involving one experience. Hatol zeh b'zeh. Kigoin Pesach v'zevach. Shechagigi boim ha-Pesach. We just discussed a shaila regarding two brachas on the Pesach, on the Zevach. It's the same person involved in one experience because the Pesach is secondary to the Zevach comes on account of the Pesach. It's one sitting, and that's why that's what takes us to the next story of the Pidna Ben, which also entails two brachas, and as we conclude, the father, the Adam Echad, involved in the Masa Echad, will make two brachas. I saw another pshat that the Ashman Taisis like that the pshat Rabbi Shmuel. Why is it that the bracha on the Pesach is mighty the bracha on this Chagiga? Because which carbon stands higher? It's like the Iker and Tafel we have in Maseches Brachas. You have the primary food and the secondary food. You have the bread with something else. The bracha on the Iker we mighty the Tafel. Here as well, according to Shmuel, since the Pesach stands higher, that's he's the main player of the night. He makes the event, the Karban Pesach, and therefore the bracha on the Pesach we might see the Chagiga, which is really coming in Zevach. It accompanies the Zevach. It's subordinate to the Zevach. It's secondary to the Zevach. It's considered like a tafel, and that takes us to the sugya of Pidna Ben. The question was, perhaps the Shechianu belongs to the kohen because he's walking away with the money, or does it belong to the owner, the father, because he's the one doing the mitzvah? The conclusion is what? Avi Ben does the bracha. Why? Because you're right, the kohen, he has hana, but it's secondary hana. It's a mitzvah hana, and is being generated by the mitzvah. It's not an independent thing. It's not a standalone entity. The Chamesh Slime is part and parcel of the mitzvah. So although the kohen is getting some residual hana, but it's as a result of the mitzvah. And who? Let's look at the mitzvah. Who is doing the mitzvah? The Avi Ben. And just like the case of the Chagiga, which is tough to the Pesach, and therefore included in the Pesach here as well, the kohen's role here is secondary and tafel, and sort of included in the Avi Ben's role. And that's what the Gemara concludes, that both brachas belong to the Avi Ben, and he'll be mighty the kohen with the Shechianu. Hadran lach masachas Pesachim, v'adar chalon, da'atan lach masachas Pesachim, v'adar chalon, lo yisn Hashem enach masachas Pesachim, lo yisn Hashem enan, lo yiba'am adeim avamod asi, as Hashem, we should be zeichet to learn many more masechtas together. Ad v'yez ge'ot tzedek, when we'll all be zeichet to bring the Korban Pesach, the Beis HaMikdash. Amen, 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 meher imeinu, amen. Be well, hatzlach.
I know you know, sis, this is a toyro. He lanu was the yoyro. Oh, he's the Yoda, no, you'll be no, he's the Zoisako, you know, he lanu, he's the Yoda. I know you'll be no, he's the Zoisako, you know, he lanu, he's the Yoda. Oh, he's the Yoda, no, you'll be no, he's the Zoisako, you know, he lanu, he's the Yoda. Now you know what's